wanna ride the bike.
Nice bike you got there. Let my son ride it.
Lady, this is a $1,500 custom-built bike. I don't let strangers ride it. This bike belongs to me.
Not for long.
r/EntitledParents. Yes! Our first story we'll be reading today, entitled Mom Tries to Steal My Bike for Entitled Kid, Gets in Trouble with Law Enforcement, from user JACT Printing. After that, entitled Lady Calls Me an It and Gets Away with It, but I Get Some Revenge, from user Ryan My Dude. After that, How I Learned My Former Friend Was an Entitled Deadbeat Leech, from user True Madness. And then we'll be wrapping up with entitled Teacher and Deputy Principal refused to allow me to drop subject in school because they wanted me in the class even though I disliked the students and teacher, from user HotRod271 for the win. Thank you so much to our authors for letting us read your stories, and if you're an author who would like me to read your stories next, please submit them to the r/Mr. Reddit subreddit. And if you're new, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. Entitled Mom Tries to Steal My Bike for Entitled Kid, Gets in Trouble with the Law. Backstory. I'm in my mid-30s and have a very bad back with nerve damage that causes immense pain. Because of this, I cannot ride conventional bicycles with my wife and 2 daughters without severe to debilitating pain. To let me ride with them, I built myself a tadpole recumbent trike. If you do not know what those are, it's a tricycle with 2 wheels in the front used for steering and 1 in the back for propulsion. It sits really low to the ground, and you ride in a reclined position, using just your legs to pedal, so no strain on the back. With this recumbent, I can ride for hours and be virtually pain-free. Cast. We've got OP, my humble self. We've got entitled Mom, typical Karen. We've got entitled Kid, and we've got our officer. Story. One day, about 2 months ago, I was riding with my family, and we decided to stop by the grocery store at the end of our ride. The store is only about 10 blocks from our house, so we decided to pick up things for dinner on the bicycles instead of riding home and firing up my big truck to drive back the 10 blocks. The only problem is that there were 5 bikes in our group, and only 1 bike lock with us. No problem, I'm sitting on a recliner. I sent everyone in the store while I sat with the bikes in the shade of a tree outside. I've done this many times before, and my interesting trike never fails to get the attention of other shoppers. I've had some really great conversations with people who didn't know anything like it existed. Today was no exception, until this typical Karen came out of the store with entitled Kid in tow. The moment entitled Kid sees my recumbent, he starts pulling his mom's hand and dragging her over to me. Now, entitled Kid looks to be about 10 and was just over 4 feet tall. This will be important later. Here is what follows.
Mom, look at this cool bike. I want to ride it.
That is an interesting bike. OP, my son wants to ride that bike.
I'm sorry, ma'am. This is a custom recumbent, built to fit me.
I didn't ask what it is. I want you to let my son try it out.
Again, I'm sorry, ma'am. But first, it is built for someone over 2 feet taller than your son, so he couldn't ride it without hurting himself. And second, it was custom built and is far too valuable for me to let strangers risk damaging it.
Mom, make him let me ride it.
See what you did? You made my little angel cry. I demand you let him ride it now. I don't care that you say he won't fit. It looks to me like he will, and I'm his mother, so it's up to me, not you.
She then turns to her kid and says,
Go ahead, honey.
At this point, I'm tired of attempting to be polite. I get between the kid and my bike. Don't even try it. Leave me alone and don't even think about touching my property, or I will call the law on you.
I'll just tell them that this is my son's bike and that you stole it from him and get you arrested.
I pulled out my phone and speed dialed the non-emergency number for the local police department. I have them on speed dial because my oldest daughter is in Police Explorers and I know every officer by first name. The officer who answers is in charge of our Explorer post, so when he answers, I say, "Officer, I'm having a problem here at the grocery store. Could you or another officer please head down for a second?" He says he's on his way and hangs up. Entitled Mom, an officer is on the way. Entitled Kid dodges around me and flops down in the seat of my recumbent. He's grinning like a fool, even though he has to stretch his legs as far as he can and slide down almost off of the seat just to reach the pedals. "Ma'am, your son is sitting on my private property without my permission. Please remove him now."
No, he has every right to sit there, and you are going to be in so much trouble when the officer gets here. I'm going to have you arrested, and my son will have a new bike.
About this time, Officer pulls up about 20 yards away from us. He steps out of his cruiser, walks over, and says, "OP, what seems to be the problem?" All the while looking sideways at Entitled Mom and Entitled Kid. "This lady," Entitled Mom cuts me off.
This thief here is trying to steal my son's bike. I need to get my son and his bike home immediately. Please deal with him while we leave."
"You are saying that OP stole your son's bike? Where's the bike? And can you prove it?" I'm standing there, stunned, until I see Officer turn towards me and wink. Now I know that he has already read the situation and is going to have fun with this, so I just stand there silent.
I caught him, and when I confronted him, he got off my son's bike, and now my son is sitting on it again. Please arrest him and let us leave. I've got groceries that are getting warm, and my ice cream is going to melt.
"Oh, so this interesting thing is your son's bike. Got it. What is this thing anyway?"
It's called a recurrent. It's a custom bike. Now, can we go?
A recurrent? I've never heard of those. Where do you get something like that?
What's with all the questions? He tried to steal my son's bike. Take care of him. Do your job. Come on, Entitled Kid. Follow me. We are going home.
At this point, Entitled Karen attempts to pedal the recumbent and is having a hard time. I'm used to riding it, so I don't downshift when I stop, and it was in high gear. "Okay, ma'am, that is enough. Get your son off of OP's recumbent and step over to my patrol car. We need to have a talk. It looks like you just attempted to steal a $1,500 custom bike from OP here."
No, it's my son's bike.
That's interesting, because I remember when OP was putting it together over 2 years ago, and I've ridden it several times as he lives 3 blocks away from me. Now, please show me your ID.
Why do you need my ID? I'm not showing you anything.
You need to show me your ID because you just attempted to steal someone's property. If you do not, you will be arrested. Entitled Kid gets off my bike and bursts into tears. He's crying and screaming about how he wanted the bike and the mean cop needs to leave his mommy alone. "OP, I'll take care of this. You have a good day. And remember that your daughter has an Explorer meeting Thursday night." It was Sunday. My family had just come out of the store as Officer leads them over to his cruiser. We all get on our bikes and head home, with me telling them what had happened. That Thursday, I had a talk with Officer. He let me know that she stopped being rude and belligerent at his cruiser, and he kept her there for about 20 minutes while he ran her ID and described what she had done and could have happened if I had pressed charges. By the time she was done, Entitled Kid wasn't the only one crying. He ended up just giving her a verbal warning, but by the time he was done, the carton of ice cream in her shopping bag had melted and leaked all over her and the parking lot. Next we've got Entitled Lady calls me an it and gets away with it, but I get some revenge. "Howdy, I'm a new subscriber, and I figured this story would give you some anger fuel. I've posted it before, but my friend recently reminded me of some details, so I figured I would post it again here with the full story. Also, she isn't as entitled as she is just a bully who thought she could get away with it, but I think it still fits here. Correct me if I'm wrong. To start, I'm on mobile, so sorry if the formatting gets wonky, and unfortunately, this doesn't have the happiest ending, but I do get my own revenge in the end. Cast. We've got Hick, entitled Mother. We've got me. We've got my BFF. We've got the jerk manager. And we've got entitled Mom's family. Her son and her mom. Not really a part of the story, but they looked remorseful through all of this. And now, let the story begin. So I used to work at a popular fast food chain. Let's call it Whackdonald's, with my BFF. Let me start this off by saying we are both trans, and back then we had higher-pitched voices, but very masculine figures, so most people just didn't use pronouns when speaking with us. At this time, we had only been working for Whackdonald's for about a month and a half, and so far, everything was as you would expect it to be. The regular crappy customer who only got a little upset when we messed something up. Most people in our town are old, so they would regularly frequent this Whackdonald's. They knew we were kinda new, so they gave us some slack. One day, me and BFF were on the two front registers. It was lunch peak, so there was about 12 groups of people waiting in our lobby to either be served or to get their order taken. So far, all of the orders we took had gotten to them with nothing wrong at all. Everything was going smoothly until I see entitled Mom and her family walk in. Already I can tell that she's in a nasty mood and will probably cause some issues. She is a very large woman with a full-on mullet, lumberjack clothes, black teeth, and sounds like she just came straight from the deep south. I went to school with her son, and he was relatively chill. He was silent through this whole thing, and so was his grandmother. They get through the line and unfortunately come to my register. I don't remember their order besides what entitled Mom had gotten. 2 triple cheeseburgers with no pickles. I finish taking their order and I reread everything to them, making sure to say no pickles on the 2 triples. Entitled Mom pays and goes off to wait for their food. Finally, things start to slow down a bit, so I run to the back to get cups for the cup dispensers since we were running low. As I'm walking back up, I hear screaming. As I get back up there, I see that BFF looks like he wants to end Hick. She is screaming about wanting a manager and how ridiculous this all was. There were 2 managers there at the time, Jerk Manager and one of the nice managers. Unfortunately, Jerk Manager was the one to come handle the situation. I walk up to BFF and Jerk Manager and ask what's going on. BFF was red in the face and yelled, "She called you an it!" I was just in shock and couldn't really say anything. I had never been called an it before, and even though I'm used to being called nasty names, it really got to me. Jerk Manager simply looks at BFF and tells him that she would handle this and asks entitled Mom what happened. She then repeats what she said word for word.
I ordered 2 triples with no pickles. There are pickles on these sandwiches. It messed up my order.
Jerk Manager.
Okay, ma'am. I'm sorry about this inconvenience. We will fix this right away.
I want a refund for these sandwiches. I'm not paying for this crappy service.
Of course, ma'am. We will get this sorted out.
At this point, I'm literally standing behind my register in tears, and BFF is ready to hop over the counter and take on this behemoth. Unfortunately, Jerk Manager forced us to continue taking orders. I was still crying as I took an elderly man's order, and he was super nice to me. He told me that if we would accept tips, he would have given me the biggest tip for going through that. I thanked him and started crying more. Now I bet y'all are wondering, where is the justice in this? This can't be it. And you would be right. We continued to work for this McDonald's for 5 excruciating months, and in this time, I was the main person on grill. BFF would frequently be up front with the customers, and whenever Entitled Mom would come in, he would tell me what she had ordered. I would do one of several things. Oversalt her meat, undersalt her meat, burn the meat, and I even spit on her meat once. I don't care how nasty it sounds. You don't call someone an it and expect to get away with it. I no longer work at McDonald's. I work at the far superior Starducks, and even though I still see Entitled Mom come through the drive-thru, I don't treat her badly. I am sickly sweet to her, knowing full well that if I wanted, I could accidentally spill her drink on her lap. Thanks for reading, and I hope you enjoyed my story. Next we've got How I Learned My Former Friend Was an Entitled Deadbeat Leech. Hey, Mr. Reddit, I'm back with another story. Now, I originally posted this in r/entitled people, and I have edited for your standards and thought this is something that the fellow Re-Army might like. But if it's not your cup of tea, that's fine too. Too long didn't read at the bottom. I knew this guy from primary school. Let's call him David. Obvious fake name. We got along well. We would hang out, chat, the typical friends things. But when his family moved away, we lost contact with each other. Skip forward many years, and I am living by myself in my first rental unit, a small one-bedroom. This plays into the story. And one day I was grabbing some food and I walk into David. And I do mean walk into him. I see him and he sees me. It was like no time had passed. We were back to chatting, exchanging numbers, catching up, and we begin to hang out once again. Things are going great. Until it didn't. I get a call from him, and he is clearly upset as his mother, which he was staying with, was kicking him out. He needed a place to crash, so I offered my couch. The deal was simple. He would stay until he got his feet underneath him, but until that time, he would give me $50 a fortnight towards food. He agreed to the terms and moved in. The thing is, the first month or so was going great. He was paying on time, kept to himself, kept his music to a reasonable level, and would ask for small things, and me, trying to be a good host, would at times get it. He would even tell me a week in advance if he was going anywhere, and would come back on the day he said he would. We even went halves in a PlayStation 2. Yep, this is how far back it was. Then things changed. Slowly, he started paying less. His music got louder. Slowly, he starts to take over my place. The weeks advance becomes days. His requests turn from, "Can I?" to, "I want." Then he stopped paying me altogether. His music got so loud, I got an official complaint from the real estate that I was renting through. His wants became demands. He stopped giving me advance, just telling me hours before he would go and be gone longer than he claimed. All while he's coming back with new clothes, new shoes, and stated he doesn't have any money, but would give me gifts, like a shirt of my favorite band that was too small for me, but would fit him like a charm. And here I am, paying for food for 2, paying electricity for 2, and he is not putting in a cent. His mother and mine tried to convince me to get rid of him, seeing what he was doing to me. I defended him. Yes, I'm an idiot, I know. The thing is, he always played the victim. The whole, "oh, woe is me" type. You know the ones.
Oh, how I can't find a place. Oh, how I can't find a job. Oh, nobody gets me. Nobody can understand.
Just complaints and moans all day long while sitting on their butt listening to depressing music. Yup, he was that type. The final straw came around Christmas. All this time, my mother lived in a different town than I did and was going to spend Christmas by herself. I was not going to let that happen. So I planned to spend the Christmas week with her. And for 2 months, I was telling David about it, reminding him, making sure he got nothing planned for that week. He would assure me that he had nothing. Every week I would do this, reminding him, and he would still give that
I got it. Yeah.
response. 3 days before I need to go, David tells me out of the blue that he's going the week to another town to spend it with his friends. I was mad. I've been telling you for weeks that I'm going to be out of town. When did this happen?
Last week.
And you didn't think to tell me until now? David goes on his woe is me tour once again. Me grinding my teeth. When are you going?
Thursday.
A day before I gotta leave. And when are you coming back?
Wednesday.
A day before I get back. I just moan loudly. Fine. Here's my key. My only key. You better be back on Wednesday, so help me.
Yeah.
The week with my mother went great, and eventually I got back on Wednesday, a day before I was meant to. I go home. Door is locked. Okay, he must be down the street or something. I go to my real estate and ask for the spare key, making some excuse. The day comes and goes. David is a no-show. Okay, he must be away. He does know I wouldn't be back until tomorrow, so I guess he figured to stay longer. Thursday, no show. Friday, no show. Saturday, Sunday. You get the idea. A week goes by, and still nothing. 2 weeks, still nothing. 3 weeks, and still nothing. No calls, no texts, nothing. I would have taken a smoke signal at the time. I was done, just done. I took all his crap and just threw it out, keeping all his more valuable things as he still owed me money. The next day, I just put all his junk in the bin. That was a good day. The day after I put his stuff in the bin, I wake up and go to the kitchen to have my coffee. I turn, and guess who is on my couch sleeping? David. With a brand new dyed hairstyle, new brand name clothes, new brand name shoes, and my key on the coffee table. I took it back. I was mad. I went outside and called my mother, asking for advice. She tells me simply, just let him know. My mom is awesome. I go back inside and he's awake, and I let him have it. Where the heck were you? No calls, no texts, nothing. I just went off at him while he's just sitting there with that whole,
How dare you talk to me that way?
look, which is only fueling the rage I had. I just let it all out, every little and major thing, the lies, the BS, everything. I laid it all on the table. After I vented and had my say, I ask if he has anything to say about himself. He goes into his classic woe is me spill, like I haven't heard that before.
I didn't have any credit.
You could have asked your friends to use their phone.
My battery died.
It's called a charger. Every excuse he gives, I shoot it down hard. He got nothing but excuses. No apologies, no form of taking any responsibilities, nothing but the same crap I have heard a million times. I just looked at him. Nothing but disgust and anger.
You know, I don't have to put up with you. My friends have offered that I can stay with them for free.
Good! Go be a leech on them. In fact, I give him a 20. I don't know why, I just wanted him out. Here, take this and just go.
Fine.
I thought that would be the end of it. God only knows how wrong I am. About a couple weeks later, I get a call from a mobile number that I didn't recognize, so I answer it. Hello?
Oh, hi.
Oh, now he calls me.
Listen, I'm wondering if you could pay me out for the PlayStation.
No?
How come?
'Cause you owe me money.
Okay. How about I pay you out and you send the PlayStation?
No! You owe me money. We do this for 5 minutes until I finally get another voice. I guess David's friend. His friend explained how David explained to them that he didn't owe me any money. I explained the deal we had, how he was nothing more than a leech and he would do the same to him too. Eventually, we came to an agreement. If they want the PlayStation, David needs to do the following: pay what he owed and pay me out. He tells me that he will get back with me. They never did. In my mind, he forfeited his ownership of it and it was mine. I later sold it to get a PS3. With the power of hindsight, David didn't ask about anything else. Not about his clothes, not his stereo, nothing. Just the PlayStation. Clearly, I know where his mindsight was. Months go by without a word, and I come across his mother, which we are still on good terms, even to this day, and I ask how things were going. And what she tells me sickens me to the core, and still does. David got a girl pregnant and did a bolt, and the girl had the kid, and that David's mother hasn't met her first grandkid. She eventually did, thank God. David tried to contact me twice, no doubt trying to get into my good graces again. He tried to do it with my sister. I told her to block him. He tried on the Book of Face. I blocked him within seconds. Burn a bridge with me? That thing is charcoal. The last I heard of him is he was crashing on someone's place, still blaming the world, still being a worthless deadbeat waste of space. What makes it bad is that after him, I had a serious distrust to any of my friends of coming around or staying even for a night. I was so guarded and so mistrusting because of one bad experience. But time is a good healer, and that wall has crumbled somewhat. Anyways, I just needed this out there. So thanks for everyone who read this far. I will post any update if I hear anything else. And our final story of the day. Entitled teacher and deputy principal refused to allow me to drop subject in school because they wanted me in the class even though I disliked the students and teacher. Hey, Mr. Reddit and Re-Army. Love the videos. I'm a daily listener of them. Helps me to get up in the morning. I even listen to them when I'm driving home from a good day out and I'm alone. I'll try to remember dialogue as best I can. Also, not sure if this is an Entitled Parents or person post. If this ever gets put in a video, you have my full permission. Also, too long didn't read at the bottom, and any grammar errors and mistakes at the bottom, feel free to correct me in the comments below. Let's begin for some context. The deputy principal and I have known each other since I was 12 to 13, year 7. So I was cool with him being my deputy at the school where I finished off my high school years. But grade 11 was where it went downhill real quick. The entitled teacher of this tale started at school in 2013. I was in grade 9. The events happened in 2015. Also keep in mind I'm Australian. For the cast and players, you have me. You have the entitled teacher. She was a pain in the neck. And the deputy principal. He was an alright man, but I was annoyed at him for a while after this. But I forgave him. He's involved later on. Every Friday, we would have this class called Sport, Lifestyle, and Recreation Studies. And of course, I didn't like sport or anything of that nature, but I was forced to do it along with all the other peers in the class who were all jerks, and I disliked every single one of them. But the worst of all was we had a kid who technically wasn't part of the class come in and join. He wasn't entitled or anything. We just had a few run-ins. I left the class for a few minutes for some air and to regather my thoughts and have a drink of water. I returned, and here's entitled teacher, ready to have a go at me.
Hot Rod, get over here. I want to talk to you.
This had better be good.
You need to let me know where you're going from now on, or you will get in trouble.
I tell myself, yeah. I know darn well I dislike you and this class. Why can't I drop it? A few weeks later, we get notified that we would be attending a trip to learn more about sports, and I think it was windsurfing, surfing, or go-karting, or something to that effect. I, of course, hated it because of entitled teacher and didn't want to go because of her. So they had the opportunity to drop a subject for the HSC year. I, of course, wanted to drop this subject and one called Community and Family Studies, CAFS for short. But no, I was allowed to drop CAFS, but not this one. I was furious. I stopped attending the class, but was forced into the deputy principal's office over this. Deputy principal says, "Hot Rod, do you want to know why I've called you here?" Me, just over this school's antics, and I started getting angry. "Yeah, I have a solid idea about this. It's entitled teacher, and her antics about not allowing me to drop the class, which I hate so much.
Yup. Allow me to get the entitled teacher so we can talk this out.
Entitled teacher, all fake sympathetic to me.
Why do you want to drop this class? And what are you going to do?
Me. I want to drop this class because, to be honest, you and the kids treat me like absolute dirt. And I'm just done. I want out. And especially the way you've treated me over the years. I'm done with it all. Now, unfortunately, I didn't drop the class, and the teacher was harder on me ever since this whole ordeal. And that's my story of having a run-in with an entitled teacher. Thanks for reading, and have a great day.
And congrats to our Read Generals of the day, Joseph, Jennifer, Sansa, and Random Country Gamer. Become tomorrow's Read Generals by dropping as many reads as you can in the comments below.